Hi, I'm Liz Roche from the Albertsons Media Collective, and you are listening to the CPGGUYS podcast.
Welcome to the CPGGUYS podcast. Your hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPGGUYS. Hello and welcome to the CPGGUYS podcast. I'm your co-host, PVSB, and when I'm not podcasting this humble little venture, I serve as head of industry and client engagement at Flywheel, the e-commerce accelerator division of Omnicom. Joining me for today's episode, he's my co-founder. He's also the patriarch of the Raj family media empire, which includes his two daughters, Laura and Ria, and of course his wife, Kavita, who hosts the podcast Lights, Camera, Conversation, lest we forget his three cats that have such a huge Instagram following that they humble us in comparison. Of course, I'm talking about the man known as Papa Raj. I call him Shri. Shri, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Doing awesome. Pleasure to be here in Las Vegas with you live from the Sky Suites themselves, CES. This is probably our 5th year in a row, maybe 10th year in a row. We've been to CES. I look forward to this. It's become one of the premier retail media conferences, and I'm glad we're actually recording this awesome episode on Retail Media Live here. How you doing?
I think what's amazing, Shri, is this is increasingly one of the two events that you're going to find just about every CPG, chief marketing officer, head of advertising at. The other one being Cannes Lions this summer, which we're planning on attending. It's a pretty big event. They're heading up to the Sky Suites, meeting with all the retail media networks, planning out the year, and it's a big year in 2025. I think that the general vibe here is that in 2025, retail media networks have to deliver on the promise of full funnel marketing. The second thing is scale has to be achieved. And the stat we know is that between Amazon and Walmart, that accounts for about 84% of all dollars spent in retail media, which means the other 60 RMNs are basically fighting over 16%. So there's got to be a bit of a come to Jesus moment in the retail media industry. There's going to be some consolidation. There's going to be some collaboration, some things. I think that's why it's just incredibly timely that the CPGGUYS are partnering with Cornell University to offer the first of its kind retail media strategy program. We've got 12 sponsors, all names very familiar to you. We're going to have 60 people in the room. We're going to be looking for a lot of the big brands to have their CMOs / heads of advertising represented. Shri, it's like Hamilton. It's going to be the room where it happened, right?
Yeah, and Peter, for those of you that want to know more, simply tune into a previous episode that was posted. You'll find it on LinkedIn. You can simply go search for CPGGUYS Apple Podcast or CPGGUYS Podcast page, Retail Media, or Dan Hooker from Cornell University. Please do tune in. It was an immediate previous episode, so please do tune in. You can also find tons of content in the digital liner notes, as well as, Peter, simply by listening to the video clips on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So thank you, Shri, as always, for joining me. Today's episode was phenomenal. We recorded it on day one, shortly before the kickoff party that we hosted on Monday, the 6th of January. And it was also the very first day employed by the Albertsons Media Collective of our guest. Liz Roche joined us to talk about media and measurement. It's a really great conversation. Before we get to her, I'll just make mention, if you listen to us on Apple or Spotify and you're so inclined, make sure to leave us a rating. It helps people find our podcast. It feeds the algorithm, and leave a review so we actually know how you want us to guide the conversation in our community. It's important that we hear from you. What do you want to hear more of? What do you want to hear less of? Are there particular people you want us to have on this podcast? So I think that's pretty important. And we also ask you to follow our sister podcasts, the FMCG guys over in Europe, led by Daniel, Frayne, and Christine. It's a great podcast. They just crossed 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. Kudos to the three of you. And of course, our friends Jennifer and Risa, who host CPG Scoop, which just recorded their 50th episode. Really great on that. And we would also make mention of links to their podcasts, also to the Cornell program, and lastly, a couple charities that we think are worthy related to the incredible apocalyptic fires that happened in the Los Angeles area that Shri, you were affected by. We're going to put those all in the digital liner notes of this episode. So without further ado, let's go to our episode with Liz Roche.
Hello and welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. I'm PBSB, co-host and co-founder. I also serve as head of client engagement at Flywheel, the e-commerce accelerator division of Omnicom. Today, we're coming to you from the Area Resort and Casino in lovely Viva, Las Vegas. Should I start singing straight? During the 2025 CES conference, joining me in the hosting duties for today's episode is, of course, my co-founder of the growing media platform. He's the chief revenue officer at Think Blue Consulting and patriarch of the Raj family media empire. I have to do the laugh at the end of it. It's a little nefarious. Of course, his media empire includes his performing artist daughters, Rhea and Laura Raj, and of course his wife, Kavita, who co-hosts the iHeartRadio podcast, Lights, Camera, Conversation. She should be at that iHeart party next door. Let's hooping it up. I don't know why she's not there. Most recently, he served as Chief Customer Officer at General Mills. He's the man known as Shri. Shri, welcome to Vegas.
Peter, what a pleasure to be here in Las Vegas. This is, 10th year in a row, 15th year in a row, and this is probably the 7th, 8th year in a row minus. No, we were even here COVID year.
Yeah.
Because it was January, meeting with Armens, doing this, hosting our event later tonight at the time of this recording. But it's a pleasure to do this in person as opposed to doing it remotely because we can actually shake hands. And I'm thrilled that we're actually recording somebody today whose first day on the job and had the bravado to not say no to us. My hats off. I'm honored that this person is actually doing it with us on day one. She could have been elsewhere. She could have said no. But she said, I'll take it head on, which means we're going to have a good time.
I have no doubt.
I'm jet lagged. I won't hide that.
You've been in Japan, you were in Australia.
Apple Music Awards, picking up an award, but here we are.
I'm sorry, you dropped an award ceremony name on me.
You didn't notice the shoes yet, did you?
No. Oh, good. Okay. All right. Anyhow, Shri, can't be more excited. I know. I don't know about you, but during this event, I'm betting heavily on the CPG guys. What do you think?
I'll go with Albertsons Media Collective.
Okay. Well, I don't know why. I don't know why. But before we get to our guest, a few housekeeping details. Please make sure you're subscribed to our podcast on your favorite platform by clicking on the follow option if you listen to us on Apple or Spotify. And please, while you're there, leave us a rating. It helps because it helps feed the algorithm that makes us more discoverable by other industry contemporaries. And while you do, leave us a review so we can tailor our content to your interests. Make sure to include our sister podcast, the FMCG Guys and CPG Scoop. CPG Scoop just hit 50 episodes.
I wanted to mention that, Peter. It's a big deal. Also, followership, 20,000 for the FMCG Guys. And for our listeners here, by the time this episode is released, CES would have come and gone. But I just wanted to mention this is the first year that you and I are doing press coverage of the actual CES displays. So for those who missed it, go back to CPG Guys on LinkedIn and check out all the press coverage we did.
And let's go back to FMCG Guys. They hit 20,000.
20,000 followers.
They're starting to catch up.
I know. We better.
We may have to take Daniel out.
The odds of you and me running fast though are pretty low.
I know. That's what I worry about. Okay. Anyhow. Okay. With the housekeeping done, let's get to our very special guest today. This is our guest's first appearance on our humble little podcast. It's a little cottage industry we have here at the CPG Guys. But our company's made numerous appearances today. She was announced as the brand new Vice President of Measurement and Media at Albertsons Media Collective, the retail media division of Boise, Idaho-based Albertsons companies. She has a rich experience in media and consumer engagement, having held roles at Groupon, Facebook, LinkedIn, Conversant, now known as Epsilon, Havas, and Accelerate 360. Please join Shri and me in welcoming to the podcast Liz Roche. Liz, welcome to CES. Welcome to Las Vegas. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And first and foremost, longtime listener, obviously first-time caller today. Absolutely honored to be on the podcast, Peter, Shri. I love you guys. So this is a dream come true for me.
Thank you. We love it. It's funny. I've already taken 5 selfies with people Two of them were at the airport. It's I think the fact that I had a CPG Guys branded suitcase was the dead giveaway. I know. We're not, there. You can call us many things. You cannot call us subtle. We're not subtle. But
I love it.
Liz, before we get to the... I know. We've got lots of swag. We're going to get Liz some swag too, don't worry. You really are doing it yourself, Shri. Before we get to the questions Shri and I have prepared for today, why don't you share some highlights on Albertsons Media Collective and your specific remit as you go into your new role?
Sure. Yeah. So you mentioned it, but I'm starting as the Vice President of Media and Measurement over at the Collective. A really interesting role, a new role. So bringing media and measurement under one roof, really important, I think gives us a very distinct advantage when it comes to speed to market, when it comes to efficacy, and really being able to align ourselves with our CPG partners. So it's an exciting time. It's an exciting role. It's absolutely a dream role for me. Couldn't be more thrilled.
Well, that is great. So for our listeners interested in learning more about Liz and the Collective, we have links to her LinkedIn profile and the Albertsons Media Collective corporate site in the digital liner notes of this episode. So you can browse and learn while you listen to our melodious tones in this conversation. No one ever charges.
He's going to make me sing.
I am. Yeah, but you're not going to sing, you're going to rap, because I don't think you sing.
It's rap.
Thank you. Okay. Liz, let's get to the questions. I'll open it up. Today, obviously, as we mentioned, Albertsons announced you in your new role at the Collective. I'd love to hear from you, what intrigued you about both the Collective and the role you're entering that said, yeah, that's something I think I want to do?
Yeah, of course. The Collective, I'm sure you have experience with the Collective. The energy in this organization is just contagious. There is a can-do attitude. It's a yes and mindset. I love the innovative, everything is possible culture here. And it was really the people that got me interested. I'd say as someone who's worked in data strategy and media for my career, the frequency of the category and the power of the first-party data under the Albertsons roof makes it so intriguing for someone like me to really shepherd that into market. And that was really what sold me on this role.
Hey, first of all, I want to say congratulations on the new role.
Thank you.
The CPG Guys certainly looks forward to not working with you just today and doing one episode, but as you, in your unique role that you have, AMC's already done a fantastic job of shaping measurement standards with IAB. We look forward to what's new, what's to come, etc.
We haven't had the Collective on in over a year, have we?
I think you're 100% right.
I think their marketing media person, Elizabeth's been keeping people from us.
I wonder how we can find.
We have to break through that whole.
We're gonna have to find that. Somehow we're gonna have to meet her in person.
I know she doesn't usually grant audiences, but we'll have to see what we can do.
We'll figure it out, man. One day, one win. Today let's get this one done, and then we'll bang.
We'll do that. Okay, we'll do that.
So all that said, obviously your career background, you've been working in media, retail media for quite a bit, but it's been on a different side of the fence.
Yes.
The services side of the fence, which is really agencies at the end of the day. And then you also have a pretty solid social media platform background. Retail is a whole different beast, especially the new world you're going to be hit up with, the in-store world and the click and collect world, etc., which is so far away from a merchandising perspective, from anything media whatsoever. Some days it felt like the worlds don't even talk. So how are you actually going to approach this, especially everything you'll offer at AMC, client management, your discussions with your merchandising counterparts to ensure that whatever you are charged with, you can actually deliver and you can make sure that AMC wins and Albertsons as a whole wins?
Of course. So you mentioned it. I've been working in service of retail for quite a long time. That was really my focus at Epsilon, Conversant, as well as at Meta. But a rare known fact about me is that my first job after college was as a produce associate at Mariano's grocery store in Chicago, Illinois. So I am someone who has been boots on the ground in a store. I've walked a little bit, walked the walk. I can break down produce into very uniform pieces. That said, the question you ask is definitely an important one. And I think what exists in market today is a lot of fragmentation, media living in silos, merch living in silos. And another thing that attracted me to the Collective is the mentality that we're all one team in service of making the shopper experience better and making the experience for our CPG partners better, which is why we're organized under one roof. And that brings, merch, e-commerce, and digital, as well as media into one place. So despite having different seats and different roles, we are one team. We have one real clear vision, and that's all centered on bringing value to shoppers and bringing value to CPG partners.
That's pretty good.
Awesome. I do want to follow up on that question and ask you, in your previous lives, right, have you actually had a chance to get in front of merchandisers, buyers, etc., as you worked for the agency, or did you observe that world was pretty far away?
I think saw a little bit of both. Actually working with Albertsons as a partner, that they were the most integrated partner, media bringing merchant into the mix, which again, another reason why this was a great fit. But traditionally, we've seen those be two very separate functions. And it kind of misses the plot, right? The plot is to bring that experience into stores to sell more product. So I think really focusing on that vision is crucial to this role, but also to the whole ethos of the collective.
So we're conducting this interview inside of Evan's garage, give or take. It's not Minnesota, but it's a representation,
sure.
Right? So, and it makes me think of the term measure twice, cut once. So I guess my question is this: how do you see measurement playing a pivotal role in accelerating the growth of retail media? And what do you think has been holding back brands from making retail media a larger and more prominent part of their marketing strategy?
So I think that measurement is really the linchpin for growth. Every year, marketers, media buyers are asked to do more and given less, and comping the year is really tough. We need to make sure that we're bringing that trust, that transparency to bear when it comes to measurement. And we also need to reduce a lot of the confusion. There's a lot of fragmentation in market, and we need to make it easy for our CPG partners to work with us. And that hinges on measurement. They need to know where their next dollar is most effective, and we need to be the guiding light in helping them figure that out.
Before I get to the next question, I had a little bit of a follow-up on that one. And this one actually drives me crazy in the industry, having come from trade myself, but on the brand side. And that is how, as an industry, we've done a pretty terrible job of breaking out trade spend, which really is about displays, features, things of that nature, and other things that surround just getting slotted inside a store. And then retail media has not really found a home yet, because it's been, let's carve it out of shopper dollars, which really is this extra budget that sits on top of media, and then you got a whole media budget. So I really wanted to dig in and ask you, do you think retail media is media in the first place? Or is it one of those things that's halfway between media and trade? And is it truly an orphan, or is it really should it be part of a marketing mix?
It's part of the retail experience by far. And again, the way that we're situated at Albertsons, that's a big goal for us, understanding how trade dollars and media dollars work together to truly drive incremental returns. Where is the 1 + 1 = 3, right? And how do those mechanisms work together? Organizationally, it's tough when you live in silos. We have the advantage of breaking down those silos and really trying to answer that. But I don't think any of these mechanisms work well as a point solution. It has to be integrated and looked at holistically. And frankly, that's how we should be measuring too. We should be measuring holistically at the partner level, and really trying to understand which ingredients into the puzzle are driving the most effective returns.
So how do we at the CPG guys interpret that, Liz? So when we look at, let's say a vendor, right? You guys have hundreds of vendors, and you say vendor, a brand at the end of the day. A brand makes investments, or you're looking at it holistically and then trying to coach them on, hey, if you're making X investments, we suggest you put A here and B there, or how does this equation?
Yeah, I think it's all about figuring out which media placements, for example, or which channels are going to drive that incremental impact. So if you are running, for example, trade promotions here or there, how can we really amplify that and bring the biggest return to bear? Again, operating in silos just doesn't make any sense. If our ultimate goal is to sell more product and bring that experience to the shopper, we need to look at that holistically.
And to that end, the measurement that you will perform on behalf of the brands investing, the KPIs will depend upon what the objective of the campaign is. Like, you're not going to be looking at incrementality when you're launching a new product. That the measurement there is probably going to be more around the impressions you're trying to introduce.
Household penetration. I mean, I think, there's a lot of different KPIs that we need to look at, but again, it has to be holistic. How did the placement and the merch strategy play into the efficacy of the media?
Makes sense.
The hot buzzword in the industry right now is incrementality, new to brand. I think sometimes people just use the word new to brand because we're going through a volume crisis. When most brands off by 1 or 2%, it's billions of dollars at the end of the day adding up by retailer. Are you a big believer in iROAS as like the leading guide and new to brand as the leading guide? Because that's what we hear on the show all the time. Yeah, we got to figure out new to brand. I'm like, you brands have been around for 5 decades.
It's funny you mention that. I am a believer in measuring incrementality, absolutely. But I'm also a believer in really trying to understand LTV and understand that shoppers shop outside of promotional periods. We're with a shopper for a lifetime. They're going to shop for a lifetime, and a brand's going to exist for a lifetime. And as retailers, we're gonna be around selling for a lifetime. How are we actually moving the needle and changing customer behavior? Incrementality and new to brand, crucial KPIs to fit into that. But I'm looking at it really big picture of, can we change consumer shopper behavior on the ground, and can we do that from a lifetime value perspective?
Love that you have mentioned LTV. And the reason I say that is brands actually not that strong with LTV because they're warehouse and they look at you guys and count on y'all for doing the LTV part. Although CMOs would give an arm and a leg to actually do LTV, they traditionally haven't been able to. So would you, so the real question I wanted to migrate on to over here is, Albertsons Media Collective has already built a pretty solid foundation in the industry for measurement. When I talk to IAB, they often refer to the work they did with your predecessors here on being that guiding playbook in the industry. Do you see that continuing, or what new, maybe we'll use the word incremental, what new incremental thinking are you bringing to a solid foundation that has already been established by AMC, if not one of the best in the industry?
So absolutely, the foundational work here is incredible. I'm looking forward to picking up the torch with IAB, continuing the standardization call to action. I think the industry is starting to pick up in momentum in the industry as well. Standardization is definitely necessary. Again, we have to be easy to work with. We need to be easy to measure. But I think, moving forward, that LTV analysis and being able to look at total partner value is something that we're really curious about and something that we want to bring to bear. We also think that we're in a position to define what that can look like and be a premier partner when it comes to testing and learning for our CPG partners.
This is music to our ears. So are we basically coining the word moving from JBP to JVC, aka joint business plan to joint value creation between partners here?
I like it.
Hopefully that's what we see in the industry. You are the first to come on the show.
She said, not you.
This is awesome.
She said, I like that.
You are the first to come on the show and refer to the collective investment, which is where we have been focused on and have been asking the industry. It's awesome to hear you say that, and hopefully the industry will pay attention.
Yeah.
Liz, a recent report from eMarketer, one of the leading sources of market share and all sorts of the tracking information across the industry, said that if you aggregate all but the top 2 retail media networks in our industry, that accounts for only about 15% of this brand spend going against that. So with that in mind, where do you see the growth in retail media for the collective? Is it about growing share? Is it about growing the overall size of the pie that's being sliced up? Or is it both? Like, what's going to drive growth that's going to make this a successful business unit for Albertsons companies?
For sure. I think one begets the next. First and foremost, I think there's going to be vertical growth because I think we're in very early stages of retail media. I mean, this is still pretty nascent, which makes it really exciting. There's going to be a lot more innovation rolled out. And with that innovation rolled out, I think we're going to see more fragmentation, which poses some challenges, right? But with our efforts in standardization, I think if we can get the industry on board and if we can really drive that initiative, we're going to see total vertical growth. There will be some consolidation and some share shift because I think the players that are the most transparent, the most trustworthy, I think the players that are the easiest to work with are going to be the winners. And that's really what our focus is at the collective.
As this industry evolves, measurement certainly is evolving. You've rightfully pointed out that we don't expect that every single RMN player will actually survive here in the long run. So the smaller ones have to figure out what their act is. One of the things that we have been hearing is they're actually forming collectives. It's kind of humorous that they call themselves a collective. You guys are AMC. Do you see these collectives as being effective? Because if you take all of a sudden 7 of those who are struggling have 500 stores each, and average running 300, 400, whatever the case might be. You pull them together, all of a sudden you get national coverage with 4,000 stores, and you become pretty effective.
I think what he's saying is scale a component that brands are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Because brands do care about scale in their measurement. How many impressions can I, if it was truly about media, it would be full funnel.
Right.
And brands should care about up top, which is impressions, all the way down to the bottom lower funnel piece. So how do you feel about that?
I think there is a place for both. At Albertsons, we do have tremendous scale, and we have a really, really high level of PII at the register. We know who's shopping, upwards of 90%, right? So we're always going to be able to close that loop and tick and tie it. That said, there are a lot of smaller retailers that if they standardize and they can form a unit, there's a place for that in market. I think there's a place for both parties to play. The common link, I'm sure you're guessing here, but it's standardization. If they can come to the table and if they can do what we all want to do as an industry, then I think there's room for all of us.
So the industry's certainly been struggling with standardization, mostly because our observation is most RMNs have said we have the best metrics,
sure,
the best measurement. However, the IAB has kind of adopted yours, which is good news for y'all. But now, keeping that as a backdrop, let's jump into trends. The hottest buzzword in the industry. There's some truth to it as well, so maybe it's not a buzzword. AI.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not AI, it's actually artificial intelligence.
Sorry.
So
I got that one wrong.
I'm
not good at
now that you said it, there is an Instagram account called The Real NFT Guys, and I wonder who owns that.
I don't know who owns that.
That's AI and trends. Let's start with AI, and then let's talk about other trends. Like, what do you believe AI is going to be a game changer when it comes to optimization, measurement? Because at the end of the day, machine learning can just process inordinate volumes of data. There's the second buzzword that every CIO, CTO is talking about is clean rooms. So if I just ask you about those two, and we'll come back to other trends, are y'all actively in the business of clean rooms, using AI, working with your agency partners to do that?
So in terms of AI, the AI has been in play in this industry and specifically in media for a long time. This isn't new. I think it's just newsworthy right now.
We agree.
So of course AI plays a role in all of this, but it's been playing a role. It's going to continue to, and it's been playing a role. And what was your second?
Clean rooms.
Clean room.
Is that the mechanism that brands will use to be able to enrich both the data of both sides to get more desirable audiences?
My concern is I'm going to have to walk around with bleach and a broom.
No, that's the cleaning closet, Shri.
So if you can demystify.
No. That's where you clean your house.
Clean room is great for two partners who have data and can mutually benefit from sharing insights in a privacy-safe environment.
Yeah.
What we see is that, a lot of the CPG partners don't have as much to bring to clean room. So I, of course, love to have the option. And I think as CPGs specifically build these first-party data assets, clean room is going to be more and more important. But I think that's even more nascent than retail media at this point. So it's a capability that, of course, we have and we're ready to go. The use, how much it's used and how beneficial it is really depends on the data that's coming in.
I think that's true. Most of the food and beverage manufacturers, they're not doing direct to consumer. They don't have any meaningful first party. Where you start to see useful data sets are not necessarily data sets that they own, but they have access to. So like, how does the temperature and UV index play a role, and how can that feed into your campaigns in different areas? But I totally understand why the promise is there.
Right.
It's just the application hasn't quite caught up to the promise.
Yeah. But it's something to keep an eye on, right? Especially as those data assets on the CPG side continue to grow.
One such important question I have for you, it's not a trend question, but the industry's biggest challenge right now for brands is the largest brands, the large market cap brands are really struggling with volume growth. Mm-hmm. They've enjoyed 3-4 years, and I was partial to that, so I can't really point fingers here, inflation-related growth. And that has kind of dried up now. There is no more inflationary index to kind of lean on anymore. In that sort of scenario, the CPG guys figure retail media can be a powerful weapon if used well planned, full funnel mentality. especially that new to brand, bringing consumer, take them through the full funnel, all the way from finding, searching, browsing, consideration, all the way to execution. Is this a story you're telling brands? If you're looking for volume growth, come to me. Or what is the story you're telling brands overall? Because I figure something has to give, and this is a powerful weapon.
I think that the story really is about bringing more interesting insights to bear to get that full funnel activation. Yeah. It's really easy to get Ritz crackers in the cart when someone's searching for crackers. What becomes a lot harder is creating that occasion. Yeah. But with the foundation of first-party data and transaction data that we have a lot of different mechanisms to work with those insights to find the occasion and to create that top of funnel interest. So I think there is a huge story behind that, but it really is a different way to look at the data from, hey, get this purchase over the finish line to let's get into the consideration set and change the way we think about insights.
So let's ask for advice before we close it out over here, right? From many a CMO and VP and SVP of brand marketing, here's what we hear. I need to take back the retail media budgets. I need to make sure it's optimized because I got to do many things with upper funnel activation. Especially I got to get back into TV because it's national. That's how I'll get new to media, so new to brand. Any advice generally for the industry, especially brand people on retail media? Why should they come to you versus going to TV?
Sure. Partner with us. Talk to us. I think especially the mentality at the collective, one thing I love about the energy here and about the culture here is that we want to work side by side with our CPG partners, and we want to hear what your goals are, and we want to work together. And again, I think that all boils down to different ways to think about insights, different ways to think about activation, different ways to think about TV. How about let's talk about connected TV? Let's talk about really getting measurement heavy on that medium and kind of changing the way we think about it. So my biggest advice is pose a challenge to us. There are a lot of smart people over here, and we sit on a trove of first-party data that we'd love to bring to bear.
Liz Roche, thank you for taking time out of your very first day at the Albertsons Media Collective to spend a little bit of time with the CPG guys to talk about where you see measurement playing a role in brands investing through Albertsons Media Collective. We really appreciate you joining us, and we hope you'll come back as you have other things you want to share with our listeners. We'd love to be able to have you back.
I'm looking forward to it already. Thank you.
All right.
Also, thank you to the Albertsons Media Collective marketing team, PR team, for working with us to make this happen at CES.
Thanks, everybody.
So, Sri, great episode with Liz. She's taking up right where her predecessor left off. She is ready to double down on the relationship with IAB and the standardization of media measurement. She thinks that's pretty critical. And she seems to have a deep experience in media, having come from that background. What are your thoughts on our conversation with Liz?
A couple things I'll point out. First of all, I love that her first job was actually working in grocery. That I think is a game changer when you're a practitioner in your first job. More importantly, though, she clearly said to us, hey, I'm going to dive right into all the work we've done on standardization with IAB. So I'm looking forward to what's next. We even asked her the question. She had the answer for us. And then on measurement, though, she said something important, right? The industry now needs to focus on incrementality. And then I asked her, what about new to brand? Because new to brand, brands who've been around for 5 decades are claiming they want a new to brand metric, which literally makes no sense. But she did explain the difference between that and incrementality, and the focus for retail media needs to be incrementality.
Yeah, I think new to brand is critically important. Fortunately for fast moving consumer goods, right? Most of the windows they have in terms of their historic data are pretty big. I know one of the people we talked to at CES the day after we recorded this was Patrick Miller, and he was talking about the new look back 5-year window, the expanded from 12 and a half months to 5 years that Amazon is partnering on with Flywheel. That starts really offering new to brand in a much more accurate way to a vast array of brands beyond the fast moving consumer goods. Like consumer electronics really do have a better opportunity of understanding new to brand. So I can understand why she's talking about it. It is very much the focus of most brand managers, to your point, customer long-term value and new to brand.
I got to give kudos to Flywheel for convincing Amazon to give 5 years of history, because
I think they nagged them to death, Sri. I honestly think, remember what Paul said up on stage when Paul Kotis was on stage? He sat there and he said, every time I talked to Patrick, he would mention it every single time.
But I got to tell you, it was important, and my hat's off to Patrick, and that's why I wanted to video him and talk to him about how he did it. And for those of you that missed it, you can find it on our LinkedIn feed. So that new to brand metric with a 5-year look back for the first time will allow brands who are non-fast moving like food to actually truly understand the history. And yes, yes, Peter, one of those things they can truly understand is how innovation played themselves out. But back to Liz, Peter, there was another important thing that stood out to me, which was I asked her, or you asked her, about integration with merchandising. And what you said back to us is it's already embedded in the culture of Albertsons Media Collective, and that's how they think about retail media. Any thoughts on that one?
Absolutely. I mean, we talked at length about this. All too often, brands are focused on selling solutions in store, and that's a unique aspect of the United States that in most markets, retail media owns the physical store activations, particularly in corrugated cardboard and semi-permanent displays. But if you're not aligned, then the brand, the ad exec selling retail media is trying to activate, and the category manager, the buyer, is sometimes at odds. In fact, they think that the money being applied to retail media is not only not incremental, but it's actually diminutive in that a dollar spent on retail media upper funnel usually involves other ad tech partners that share in it, and therefore it's in the minds of many category managers and buyers detracting from the profitability of this category. And they have to get over that mentality and really think about the full funnel consumer building activity that retail media delivers.
And we had that conversation with her, Peter. One of the biggest challenges there is how the inventory is paid for. For example, the price buy down is paid from a upper funnel, above the line trade budget. Then the actual physical execution of the display is played for by shopper marketing. You already called that out, right? Media budget. And then the shopper marketing budget kind of stays in this strange place, neither in the media budget, neither in the trade budget. In the middle place, its own carve out. We got to solve. Like, I'm ashamed I didn't work to solve it during COVID. We live in a world which is full funnel, top to bottom. Like, there's no excuse. Like, commercial leaders step up, do the right thing by the consumer.
You know, I think you're spot on, Sri. I think a lot of manufacturers have abdicated that discussion. They're not willing to revisit it. I know that a certain CPG manufacturer based out of southwestern Ohio is very adamant about any check being written to a retailer is an above the line trade investment, period, end of story. And they won't cross that line, and they won't revisit it. And I think in this day and age where we're talking about full funnel performance marketing, like, listen, Sri, and I've talked about this until I'm blue in the face, right? I believe firmly that Subscribe and Save is a brand investment. If I'm a brand manager and I have an opportunity to buy someone out of the buying cycle for a 5% discount, I should be writing that check all day long, right? And so we have to get beyond this. Now, it may well mean that we're going to have to then lobby Congress in order to change the Robinson-Patman Act. But that was written how many years ago, Sri? It's out of date. We need to start recognizing the real world that we live in.
Peter, we're back to the conversation on how marketing is trained, right? Philip Kotler, Marketing 5104, MBA class, 4 Ps, and that's marketing.
I was a great conversation with Liz. Looking forward to having her back when she has something new and notable to share with us. You know, the team at Albertsons, we kind of avoided talking directly with them about the impending and now failed merger with Kroger, I think they've got some renewed spirit now that they have a measure of finality, knowing that they're not going to be joining with Kroger, and therefore their existence is not in peril. I think they're going to be in a position to be very innovative, very scrappy, and very controversial and provocative in how they go to market with retail media. And Evan, Evan, the head of product and innovation, is right there side by side with Liz. I think it's going to be a really great combination, and there's a lot to see coming from AMC.
As we wrap up this episode, Peter, one last mention by me. I want to say a special thank you to Albertsons Media Collective Comms and PR for working with us to have so many of them on the show and really influencing the industry. To Liz Roche, my hat's off for the bravado. Day one on the job, you came on the show.
Shri, it's funny because in this episode, we kind of took a little bit of a shot jokingly at our friend Elizabeth Perryman, who runs comms for Albertsons Media Collective, but she has been a phenomenal partner of ours over the years. We absolutely adore Elizabeth and Elena Harrington too, who's part of her team. So they know they always have an open door to come back on the CPG Guys podcast and talk about the incredible journey that Albertsons Media Collective is on, helping brands engage their shopper base. Shri, as always, thank you for joining us on this journey. And to our audience, we say thank you to the 35,000 followers we have on LinkedIn. We are so greatly appreciative that you trust us for both your education and entertainment needs. I'm PVSB. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to speaking with you on the next episode of, wait for it, Shri.
Thank you.
The CPG Guys podcast. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.